from Helping Hand MBBS, and after completing parasympathetic nervous system, now we will start sympathetic nervous system, and we will do rapid revision and see the most important point in this chapter. So let us start with it. So what is sympathetic nervous system? In sympathetic nervous system is like opposite to the parasympathetic nervous system. The main actions of sympathetic nervous system are opposite. So let us start. There are two type of receptors in sympathetic nervous system: alpha receptors and the beta receptors. Alpha receptors are further of two types: alpha 1 and alpha 2. Alpha 1 are present on blood vessel, prostate and eye. So what they will do there is, in blood vessel they will cause vasoconstriction, in prostate they will cause the constriction of prostatic urethra, and in eye they will cause the contraction of radial muscle of eye, causing mydriasis. What is mydriasis? Mydriasis is dilation of pupil. In parasympathetic nervous system we learned that it causes meiosis. Now here it causes mydriasis by radial muscle contraction, dilation of pupil. Now what is alpha 2? Second receptor is alpha 2 receptor. Alpha 2 receptors are present presynaptically. What is presynaptic? Suppose this is an end of a neuron and this is next neuron. So this is some receptors are present here. This is synapse. So these receptor will be presynaptic receptors. So alpha 2 is a presynaptic receptor and it decreases the release of norepinephrine. So it decreases the release of neurotransmitters. So it is mainly used in it mainly cause hypotension here. Mainly cause hypotension due to decrease in sympathetic nervous system tone. Mainly causes hypotension. Now other receptors are beta receptor. Beta receptors are further of three types: beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. These are very important. The beta 1 is present on the heart and in kidney. In kidney it is present on JG cell. In heart, what is the function of this beta receptor is it increases the cardiac output, increases the heart rate, and it net increase in blood pressure. Now it is also present on kidney. What it will cause in kidney is it is present in JG cells. So it causes the release of renin and activate RAS system. So it increases BP by this mechanism. So the both mechanism of beta 1 receptor is increase in BP by different action on heart and the JG cells. Now we should come to this part, beta 2 receptor part. In beta 2, what should we learn is that in lungs it causes bronchodilation. It is very simple that in smooth muscle the sympathetic nervous system causes relaxation of muscle, whereas in skeletal muscle or cardiac muscle it causes contraction. So in lungs, as the bronchus contains the smooth muscle, it causes bronchodilation. In GIT it causes relaxation of GIT because these are smooth muscle. In skeletal muscle it causes contraction, causing tremors. Because in skeletal muscle and cardiac it causes contraction. In blood vessel, as it is smooth muscle, it will cause vasodilation by beta 2. Here it causes vasoconstriction by alpha 1, but here it causes vasodilation by beta 2 receptor. And in uterus it again causes relaxation. As you know, it is a smooth muscle. So these are the function. Like in smooth muscle it will cause relaxation, in skeletal and cardiac muscle it will cause contraction. Now in bladder, what it will cause is, you yourself can tell me, as it is a smooth muscle, it will cause relaxation of bladder, relaxation of detrusor muscle, and also in adipocyte it causes lipolysis. So these are the various functions of various receptor, and it is very important. These are the basic of sympathetic nervous system. After completing this, we are now going to study the drugs in sympathetic nervous system. I have made the classification very clear here, and we will discuss one important point of important drugs. So let us start. See, the drugs are of three types in sympathetic nervous system. We will discuss sympathomimetics here. In anti-sympathetic nervous system, that is sympatholytics, we will discuss in next video, and it will be very short and important topic. So here we will discuss the sympathomimetic drug which will increase the sympathetic nervous system. So first is catecholamine and another is non-catecholamines, and the third is norepinephrine depleters. We will see what are these. In catecholamines there are two types, the endogenous catecholamine and the exogenous catecholamine. Endogenous, which are present in our body itself, and exogenous, which are given from outside. So in endogenous they are of three types: epinephrine, norepinephrine and dopamine. So epinephrine, the main function of epinephrine is it is drug of choice for anaphylactic shock. In anaphylactic shock it is drug of choice because it causes bronchodilation and it will increase the breathing capacity of a person. And then next is norepinephrine, and third is dopamine. Dopamine increases the cardiac effect. So if there is heart failure with oliguria, we give dopamine. It is drug of choice for congestive heart failure with oliguria, as it increases the contraction of heart. As we have discussed that by beta 1 receptor there is increase in contraction of heart and there will be increase in blood pressure. So dopamine we can give with oliguria because D1 receptor is present in kidney and causes diuresis. If there is oliguria, we can cause diuresis and increase the urine output. So congestive heart failure with oliguria, drug of choice is dopamine. Drug of choice for anaphylactic shock is epinephrine. These are the important point of endogenous. Now let us discuss the exogenous. Now in exogenous there is a drug called dobutamine. Dobutamine, you should remember, it is very important drug because it is a drug of choice for acute congestive heart failure. Because it increases the contraction of heart, it is a inotrope. So we give dobutamine. It is drug of choice for acute congestive heart failure. And if the option is drug of choice for acute congestive heart failure with oliguria, we will answer the dopamine. So these are the two important drugs. Now other drugs in this category are isoprenaline and the phenidopam. Okay, so we have completed the catecholamines. Now we will see the non-catecholamine class of drugs. In non-catecholamine class we have three categories, that is alpha 1 agonist, drugs which act on alpha 1 receptor; alpha 2 agonist, drugs which act on alpha 2 receptor; and the third is beta receptor agonist, which act on the beta receptors. So the main important drugs here are let me change the color. The main important drug these colors are not matching. Okay, so here we will discuss these drugs. The first drug we should discuss is phenylephrine. So you can see here that first drug is phenylephrine. The phenylephrine, the second drug is oxymetazoline, and third is xylometazoline. These three drugs are very important because they will cause nasal decongestion. As alpha 1 agonist cause vasoconstriction, it decreases the leak out of the secretions and the decrease in formation of secretion. So they act as nasal decongestant. It is very important function, nasal decongestant. Now other drug are midodrine. This is midodrine is another drug for alpha 1 agonist. Now what are the other drugs? The other drugs are like alpha 2 agonist. In alpha 2 agonist, the first drug is clonidine, another is apraclonidine, brimonidine and methyl-dopa. I hope that you have seen the video of glaucoma. In glaucoma I have discussed the uses of apraclonidine and brimonidine. As alpha 2 is presynaptic, it causes vasodilation instead of vasoconstriction. So apraclonidine and brimonidine are used in open angle glaucoma. So these two are used in glaucoma. Clonidine is used in hypertension, and methyl-dopa is specifically used in hypertension in pregnancy. For hypertension in pregnancy we use methyl-dopa. So these are the important drug of alpha 2 agonist category. Now we will discuss the various drugs of this third category, that is beta receptor agonist. In beta receptor agonist there are three categories, the SABA, LABA and VERILABA. And what are these? The SABA is short acting beta agonist, the short acting beta agonist. LABA is long acting beta agonist, and this is VLABA is very long acting beta agonist. In these drugs, in these categories, the SABA contains salbutamol and terbutaline. These include salmeterol and formoterol. Salmeterol and formoterol. And you don't need to remember the drugs in this category. So these are mainly used in the asthma. So in acute attack of asthma, we uses these three drugs: the salbutamol, terbutaline, and formoterol. These act very fast, so these three drugs are used in acute attack of asthma. So these are the beta receptor agonists. We have discussed the drugs, various drugs: salbutamol, terbutaline, salmeterol, formoterol. Now we should see. Now we have completed all the receptors, and now also the drugs acting on various receptors and their important point. What are their function? Now we will see the two main important concepts in sympathetic nervous system, in which first is vasomotor reversal of Dale. In this, what is this vasomotor reversal of Dale? Normally, what happens is, if we give epinephrine to a person, when we give epinephrine, initially its concentration will be high, and then as it will be cleared off from the body, the concentration will decrease. So when the concentration is high, it will stimulate alpha 1 receptor. In high concentration, the stimulation is of alpha 1 receptor, whereas when the concentration decreases after some time, it will stimulate the beta 2 receptor. It will stimulate at low concentration, it will stimulate the beta 2 receptor. And we know alpha 1 is present on blood vessel and it causes vasoconstriction, so increases the BP. By this mechanism, it increases the BP, and by this mechanism, it decreases the BP. As beta 2 causes vasodilation, that is, it is a smooth muscle, so vasodilation. So see that in normal, what happens in this, let us assume this is the BP axis. What will happen in this time? If we give epinephrine at high concentration, initially the concentration will be high, so the alpha 1 will be stimulated and the BP will increase. But after some time, when the concentration will decrease, the BP will start falling. Why? Because it will stimulate the beta 2 receptor and cause vasodilation. Now guys, see that if we give someone alpha 1 blocker, to a person, what will happen is that this increase in BP will not be there, and there will be rapid fall in the BP if we give the alpha 1 blocker along with the epinephrine. So if we give alpha blocker with epinephrine, there will be no alpha 1 action and only the beta 2 action, which will cause the very high decrease in BP, very high fall in BP. This is known as vasomotor reversal of Dale. Fall in BP by giving alpha blocker is known as vasomotor reversal of Dale, and it is seen in the condition called pheochromocytoma, where there is increased epinephrine. If we give alpha 1 blocker in this condition, there will be rapid fall in the BP, which is vasomotor reversal of Dale. The second most important concept is heart rate and mean blood pressure of these three drugs. Effect of isoprenaline, epinephrine, and the norepinephrine on heart rate and the mean blood pressure. We should see this. Now for this, we have to understand some receptors. So as you can see that epinephrine is present on all four receptors: alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2, whereas norepinephrine is present on alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, and isoprenaline on beta 1 and beta 2. Here I only want you to focus on two types of receptor: alpha 1 and the beta 2 receptors. You should focus on alpha 1 receptor and the beta 2 receptor. Here only alpha 1 is there, and here only beta 2 is there. You should focus on these two receptors. So as we know that alpha 1 causes vasoconstriction and increases the systolic blood pressure, whereas beta 2 causes the vasodilation and decreases the diastolic blood pressure. The mean blood pressure mainly depends on diastolic blood pressure, and diastolic blood pressure mainly depends on the tone of the blood vessel. If there is vasodilation, there is decrease in diastolic blood pressure. If there is vasoconstriction, there is increase in diastolic blood pressure. So now guys, see what will happen in epinephrine. It is present on both alpha 1 and beta 2. That is both vasoconstriction and vasodilation. If there is both vasoconstriction and vasodilation, the diastolic BP will not change so much and the mean blood pressure will not change so much. So the increase in mean blood pressure is very minimal in epinephrine. There is very little increase in blood pressure. Now if we see the norepinephrine part, there is alpha 1 receptor only, and alpha 1 receptor will cause vasoconstriction, which will increase the diastolic blood pressure and which will increase the mean blood pressure thereafter. So the increase in mean blood pressure is very high in norepinephrine. Now we can see that in isoprenaline it is very easy that it is present on beta 2. Beta 2 causes vasodilation causes decrease in diastolic BP and decrease in mean blood pressure. So mean blood pressure will decrease in isoprenaline. Now what is the effect on heart rate? Remember that it is exactly opposite to the mean blood pressure. So if there is very high increase in mean blood pressure of norepinephrine, there will be decrease in heart rate. And in isoprenaline there is very decrease in mean blood pressure, so there will be very high heart rate. And epinephrine was in between before, and it will be mean in between after also. So these are the various effects on heart rate and mean blood pressure of isoprenaline, epinephrine and norepinephrine. Thank you guys. This is all about the sympathetic nervous system, all the important drugs, receptor and the important concepts. So if you enjoyed with this video, please like our video and subscribe our channel.